An awful lot of math. Wendy McKeon looked so much like her daughter, Shan, that people sometimes assumed they might be sisters. Robbie and I went directly to Shan's house after church. Johnny and Wendy didn't take Shan to services that week. They made the excuse that they were settling into their new old house. When you didn't go to church in Ealing, sometimes it was almost necessary to stick a sign in your yard asking forgiveness from your neighbors. God cuts slack to people who need to settle in, but your neighbors might not. Students from Curtis Crane Lutheran Academy were required to wear our ties and sweaters to church, even though most people in Ealing did not dress up on Sundays. "Don't you two look handsome?" Wendy McKeon said when she greeted us at her door. Robbie and I hadn't changed into our non-Lutheran boy clothes yet. "Like candy canes," I said. "Kind of makes you want to beat us up, doesn't it?" Robbie asked. "Oh, you," Wendy said, and put her hand flat on Robbie's chest. Robbie was much funnier and better looking than I was. I believed Wendy sometimes wondered why Shan wasn't his girlfriend instead of the Polish kids. Robbie wasn't out to anyone but me and Shan. Wendy McKeon didn't know anything about teenage boys unless she learned it from one of those daytime television talk programs. Wendy McKeon would have thought it was not normal for Robbie and me to experiment. There was an exterminator service van parked in front of the McKeon house. Shan had told her mother about the noises coming from the wall, and Johnny and Wendy decided it was most likely rats. "Old houses like this do often have rats inside them," I said to Shan when Robbie and I were in a room. I couldn't help but play with the idea of asking Shan for an Eden 5 Needs You 4 threesome with me and Robbie. The amount of math in that thought made my head ache. "Rats with typewriters," Robbie added. "These rats type every 6 hours, Shan said, continuing the numerical assault on my head. "At exactly 6 and 12. I've been keeping track." "So they're obsessive-compulsive rats with typewriters," Robbie said. "Just wait a moment," Shan said. She looked at her wristwatch. It was 11:50. I was horny and mathematically confused. The exterminator men crawled all around the floor, looking for holes rats could use to get inside the walls. When they didn't find any, they crawled up into the attic and around the perimeter of the home's foundation, setting traps and putting out attractive dishes of poison that looked like candy corn. They did not find any rats because there weren't any. At exactly noon, the noise inside Shan's wall came again. This time, all 3 of us were there, and all 3 of us heard it. The sound went silent in less than a minute, but we triangulated with our ears the precise spot in the wall where it originated. "Do you kids want some lunch?" Wendy called up from the house somewhere. I nodded at Shannon. She yelled back at her mother. The house was so big, it wouldn't have been too outrageous to actually use cell phones. In houses, teenagers tend to communicate with their parents by screaming across distances. "It's some kind of machine," I said. The wall there was made from top to bottom tongue and groove wood plank. Some of the slats were loose and could wiggle. I felt certain we'd be able to pry a board or 2 up without inflicting any permanent damage to Shan's bedroom wall. I asked Shan to bring us some butter knives or flathead screwdrivers, anything Robbie and I could use to get at the boards. And just when Wendy McKeon hollered up to us that lunch was served, Robbie and I peeled back a 6-inch wide slat we found at the source of Shan's 4 times per day haunting. The ghost in Shan's wall was a machine. The thing was set back between the wall of Shan's room and the bathroom on the other side. It sat on a low, dust-covered pine shelf. Thick, rubberized wires ran from its back, following the roadways of wall studs and joists up and down out of sight. The machine was also covered in dust, made of bakelite and blue rounded metal that had the same aesthetic style of a toaster or an automobile designed 50 years ago. At the front was a keyboard, like a typewriter's, but the thing was much bigger, and a simple typewriter. That was what was called a teletype machine. From the back of the platen cylinder, a yellowed scroll perforated paper had been spitting out the same repeated message, typed out in black ink, capital letters that formed ladder-like rungs over several feet. The flamingo alerts on environmental presence of 412E. Silo generators now activated. Report to the silo with proper haste. The flamingo alerts on environmental presence of 412E. Silo generators now activated. Report to the silo with proper haste. The flamingo alerts. I looked at Robbie. He looked at me. Both of us at the same time said, "Oh." Robbie said, "Nobody says with proper haste." "Who would ever say something like that?" I added. Shan asked, "What's going on, Austin?" I said, Tally-ho. "I don't think I'll need to eat again before Guy Fawkes Day," I said. "Tally-ho to that," Robbie said. Chip and all that," I said. That night, Robbie drove his car east along the flat, straight highway that linked Ealing to Waterloo. We were hanging out together like I'd promised. Robbie said we would be traveling through time, and it might be ugly. I did not know why Robbie wanted to go to Waterloo, or why he wanted to travel through time. I only hoped he did not want to sit through Eden 5 Needs You 4. Wendy McKeon was raised in southern Indiana. Regionalists sometimes refer to that area as northern Kentucky. Lunch, for a person raised in that part of the continent, consisted of the following: fried chicken, potato salad, mashed potatoes, creamed corn, deviled eggs, canned fruit cocktails, sweet pickles, American cheese slices, white bread, softened margarine, milk, cake, and peanut butter. After the orgy of Wendy McKeon's lunch, we unplugged the teletype machine before we left. Robbie and I took the printout of the repeating message with us, and we replaced the wobbly board to the wall in Shan's bedroom. "Having a teletype machine built into your wall was not so strange," I offered, considering saying that Shan's room also included a door that went nowhere and a staircase descending to a dungeon for horny Lutheran boys. Shan agreed. "It was just a weird house. But it is on the Ealing Registry of Historical Homes," Robbie reminded us. "An abundance of distressed bricks," I commented. "Who knows what other crazy stuff the McKeons did in this house," Shan said. "Yeah," I said. "Who knows?" There was some figuring out that had to be done. Figuring out meant a sort of confession to Shan would be involved if Robbie and I were not careful. I did not want to tell Shane about things that happened in Johnny McKeon's office, and I did not want to say to her what Robbie and I did when we were up on the roof of the Ealing Mall. But I do not lie. If Shane ever asked me about it, I would tell her. So Robbie and I opted for a waiting period of quiet consideration before exploring the possibilities of what the teletype message actually could mean. Robbie and I went back to my house and changed out of our Lutheran Boy superhero costumes. I loaned him another Austin Serba outfit from my closet soon, I thought. All my clothes, as well as Robbie's, would be scattered and washed over the back seat of his Ford Explorer. "There is no silo at the McKeon house," I said. I looked. I pulled on a pair of jeans and slipped my feet into some loose skate shoes. "So did I," Robbie said. I gave him some Levi's and my Pink Floyd t-shirt to wear. Mine said LCD sound system. "You're not planning on taking me to Eden 5 Needs You 4, are you?" "Oh," Robbie answered. "I'm going to see something I've always wondered about, but was too chicken to go by myself." "Sounds like what I'd say about Eden 5, I said. Eventually, I was relieved. I was grateful Robbie Robbie truly was not interested in the film I'd seen with Shan the night before. Robbie didn't even slow the car when we drove past the Waterloo's Cinezar. Another brilliant job of branding by an Iowa entrepreneur. Finally, Robbie pulled the Explorer into a parking lot of a squat and dim strip mall. The place was dismal, but not nearly as run down. Not nearly as run down and left in abandon as the Ealing Mall at Grasshopper Jungle. The signs above each of the businesses were lit up, despite the fact that the majority of places were closed on Sunday nights. There was a laundrette, and it appeared to be clean and condom-free. Naturally, there was a liquor store, another business called Cheap Smokes, that had a decal of marijuana leaf in the corner of its front window, a barber shop, and an indoor shooting range and gun shop called Fire at Will's. Waterloo was definitely the place. And at the end of the mall, in an area where 4 or 5 cars had parked beneath a lonely overhead light facing the unit's front door, was a bar called the Tally-Ho. The Tally-Ho was widely known in the area as being a secret place for homosexual men to hang out and meet. The secret was not well kept. People in Ealing just didn't talk about the Tally-Ho, or if they did, it was very low register, so other ears could not perk up at the mention of the name. The Tally-Ho was Waterloo, Iowa's one and only gay bar. I said, "What? Well, why did you come to the Tally-Ho, Robbie?" "I wanted to see what it looked like," Robbie explained. "We can't go inside." I argued. "People might think we're, prostitutes or something." "Did you actually just say prostitutes?" Robbie asked. "I can't be certain," I said. "I think I did." "We can't go inside because we're only 16, Robbie said. "Do you want to go inside?" I asked. "Are you asking me out on a date, Austin?" Robbie said. "No." I was so confused. Robbie went on. "I wanted to come here just so I could see what the future is like. What if I end up here with nowhere else to go? What I look like?" "You could always wear the grimacing lemur mask," I offered. "I always wondered who came up with this place," Robbie said. I guess everyone kind of wonders that, but they're just too afraid to admit it," I said. Robbie shook out some cigarettes, held the pack so I could take one. I pressed the lighter to the dash. I thought I knew why Robbie came here. It was sad. We smoked. "Do you want to go back?" Robbie said. "What? Like, inside?" "No, maybe we could just poke our faces in the door and say something like we're lost and need to know how to get back to Ealing." Nobody would believe it. Nobody ever wants to go back to Ealing. "You may be right," Robbie said. "Still, what would they do to us? What if they think we're gay or something?" "What are you trying to say, Austin?" "I'm sorry, Rob." I took a drag on my cigarette. I guess I better just shut up. Robbie got out of the car. Robbie wasn't angry or upset at what I had said. Real friends know what they mean when one of them says clumsy and stupid things. History shows that. History shows there aren't an awful lot of real friends on the record. So I got out of the car too. Okay. Good enough. Longer than usual, but not super long. Have a good day.